Welcome back to Court TV Live. So, court just went on a break in Georgia in the trial of Colin Gray, the father who's being accused of enabling the massacre that his son allegedly carried out. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep our eyes on that courtroom. As soon as they're back in session, we'll let you know. In the meantime, we have another trial going, as you know, the hidden murder case. Dee Warner is the victim in this case, and her husband, Dale Warner, is the accused. Before we go into the courtroom, let's get you the background on this case. Ashley Wilcott reports.
We're at the final resting place where we found Dee's body entombed in one of these anhydrous tanks.
It was a gruesome discovery for the family of Dee Warner, who spent years searching for her. The mother of 5 vanished in April of 2021. What followed were extensive searches of the sprawling property she lived on with her husband, Dale. Acres combed through with no sign of Dee.
We've had 3.5 years of searching, right? And there's been every single thing, even though we've had anticipation at a number of times, they've all been a no-go.
Greg Hardy is Dee's brother. He suspected Dale Warner of having something to do with her disappearance. Dale told police his wife left on her own after they had an argument, but Dee didn't take her car and she didn't tell anyone in her family where she was going.
We worked as hard as we could to investigate and make the investigation work, and finding her body and laying her to rest validates the fact that we weren't just trying to incriminate someone. We knew this wasn't what Dee would have done.
The sealed fertilizer tank in which Dee's remains were found was in a barn on property owned by Dale, located about 4 miles from their home.
This was done to her viciously, so it's a validation of what we worked for so long is true. It's up to the court and the trial to find him whatever justice he deserves.
Dale Warner is charged with murder and tampering with evidence in his wife's death.
State of Michigan versus Dale Warner. Appearances, please. Can you state your name, sir?
Dale Warner.
Warner rejected a last-minute plea deal before the start of his trial. He maintains his innocence and claims that he had nothing to do with his wife's murder.
Okay, Ashley Wilcott reporting there for us. Now let's take you into the courtroom. The state is playing Dale Warner's police interview.
Why wouldn't you do something to me? Okay. And what do you think should happen to someone that did do something there?
I'm not so sure that someone did anything to her. So I think she just wanted to someone. I mean, she obviously had a good plan.
Okay.
She left with someone who figured somewhere with it.
Okay. Can you, kind of in your words, can you describe Dee to me as a person? And how about her personality? When we talk about her as a person? What do you mean by that?
Sweet and seductive and just the nicest person in the world. She made me say, in 2 seconds.
Now, how would you describe your marriage overall?
I think that would describe our marriage as a normal marriage. We had a lot of arguments and disagreements, but the business is something we run. You're going to have disagreements on things. And Dee had a hard time doing business in the office very well. He didn't really work with thinking that she'd keep on until she convinced you what she was saying was right.
Okay. And how would you describe kind of a normal argument with her? What is that like? The two of you and her?
A normal argument?
Yeah, what's a typical argument like for you two?
And when we started off, she would say, I accused her of doing something. Or if I catch her, they catch her doing something. Now, she told me she was going to go pick something up, but she didn't do it, but she went shopping. I said, how can you get this part? You know, I had to have it. Well, you know, I was busy and I had to go do this. And by the end of the argument, she had it completely so far away from the park, it'd be my fault. I walked like a...
You apologizing at the end?
He's master of manipulating their own.
Hey, sure, maybe my life is going on here. I got the same treatment.
I've been all sisters in the end. Well, that was my biggest thing going. We were both on the counselor, after the fact. She left and told me after one day off. No, she left because you were getting tired. You were understanding how to talk to her when you had an argument, and you have to, say, okay, honey, and before you get out of the business something that you want to argue. He says, you have to stop. You have to sit down and say, okay, what's bothering you? Let's talk about it. And I would never do that until close to before she left, and that's when I was finally, boom, the light goes on. This is what I gotta do. Men from Mars, men from Venus or whatever. I have to sit down and talk to her. As soon as I started doing that, she didn't know how to argue anymore. Because I sat down, okay, Dee, tell me what you're doing, what you need to do, and how we can fix it. And she didn't know anything. And she just get pissed and take off and walk away or leave.
How often would that happen?
Oh, it was once or twice a week. We had an argument over something.
Okay.
That's when it's an argument. We disagree on how to do things, or where this truck is going, or who this guy's going to get done. There's always a disagreement on things that are getting done through business.
Okay. And how often would she, to my understanding, it wasn't uncommon for her to leave for a night and go stay somewhere. How often would that happen?
That was random. I don't know.
If you had to guess, how many times a month?
Once or twice.
Okay. And that was
And it wouldn't be, she would get pissed off and leave, and she'd just want to go shopping for the day, answer her phone. Or if she's really pissed off, she'd take off and go over to Zach's house and stay for a day or two, or you didn't know. I mean, you never knew how long before she'd be back.
okay.
So that's why I never was worried until Walter sold and buy it. And it was wrong because it was just took off and come back.
And before, I have a few questions for you. And again, before I ask these, some of these are just reports we have from other people. So me asking it does not mean that I think it's true. I want you to understand that, okay? And I mean that sincerely.